This is how we ride. This is how we do.
Only you can prevent forest fires. And Jesus H. Christ, do we have a forest fire here with the Bud Light situation? I mean, oh my God. And the face of the boycott is the American badass of Kid Rock. He is the face. He is Mr. America. Make America great again. AR-15s, blah, 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 you know, just destroy. He is representing that side of the aisle that is out there being walked on right now, if you ain't noticed. Okay, well, let's see how American Anheuser-Busch even is. When you dig just a little bitty bit, you find that Anheuser-Busch has been purchased by InBev. And InBev is a Belgium company. And you could see all that they own. Modelo, Labatt. But that was the end for American ownership of Anheuser-Busch in 2008. And that made me think, well, what American brands are even made in America or owned by American? And lo and behold, the list is not very long. And this specifically has to do with a situation. This article has to do with Pabst Blue Ribbon because there was a big stir of the storm in 2014 that a Russian company named Oasis had purchased Pabst Blue Ribbon. And Pabst went on their Twitter in 2014 and said there's a lot of rumors, but Pabst will remain American-owned and operated. And that was the media surge of things. Wait a couple years, 6 years down the line, 2020, the official announcement is made public when it's not so much of a stormy situation. Election year, we're worried about Trump. All right, we'll tell everybody. And Miller Coors is owned by Molson Coors, which is a Canadian company. So this article is fresh off the block because everybody's going insane and losing their minds over Anheuser-Busch. So I've already briefed you on how Anheuser-Busch was bought by this InBev place. I already showed you how companies are trying to emulate their American and all this stuff. So this is kind of documenting the whole scenario around the situation with Bud Light. But it also is asking, is Miller owned? Miller Coors, of course, the only other kind of competitor we can visually see. I've already talked about how Miller is not owned by Anheuser-Busch. It reinstates that, but by Molson Coors. There was a window in time, though, and this is true. This is where it was almost this InBev owning everything, Belgium owning everything outside of Russia and Pabst. There was a time where it almost happened, and it goes into this. There was supposed to be a merger in 2015. Anheuser-Busch announced its intentions to acquire SAB Miller for $107 billion. $107 billion, guys. It says, it goes on to explain, at the time, SAB Miller was the parent company of Miller Coors, accepted Anheuser-Busch's offer, but the deal could only go through with antitrust approval by regulatory agencies. The Department of Justice, the government, came in, this is in the Obama era, and said that the acquisition would only be permitted on the basis of SAB Miller shifting all of its Miller Coors holdings to outside the United States. Internationally, the brands are entirely owned by Molson Coors. As per the requirements of the merger, SAB Miller sold the entire Miller portfolio to Molson Coors, a Canadian company. So if you want to support North America, I guess, you go and you get Miller and Coors. But if you want to support American-based beers and companies, you're kind of SOL when it comes to the mainstream brands that you see on your shelves. And this was a problem in 2015. This was the problem with American-based businesses leaving this country because it was better to leave. This is the stuff that Trump was talking about. And it's also, I think, why they didn't like Trump too much. Because there's a lot of, I said $107 billion, okay? To deal with John Wick, it was like 40 million, 20 million or whatever. And obviously we got Trump back in the news right now for some BS because when he was in office and in place, he was messing with this amount of money. These are the type of deals and situations that Trump did not like and that Americans do not like either. And of course, Trump does have international minglings as well. He takes advantage of the situation, just like they were talking about the tax codes and everything with Hillary, the famous little interaction there. I took advantage of the tax codes because your investors and supporters do as well. So he took advantage of those international laws, not necessarily saying that they were right, but he's playing the game that they're making the rules on. He wanted to come in there and change the rules around a little bit, and you got $107 billion deals and probably way bigger deals than that being affected by those rules that he wanted to change, and they put a political hit on him to get him out of this game. Oh, we'll play it. No, you ain't messing this up for me. No, 107 billion, this billion, that billion. Trump is very quintessential in building ratings for these news networks that no one pays attention to unless he's in here, and they're causing this live theater that we are seeing. So as much as these media networks, Fox or CNN, want to say, or MSNBC, which I don't even really count them, want to say that he's hurt or he's bad or he's this or he's that, he's making the money. And at the end of the day, that's all they care about. And if they can use him to make money in between elections and then do just enough damage to keep him out from affecting the rules on the table, then they're fine with that. They're going to play that game every single day of the week because it makes them money on both ends of the spectrum that I just explained to you. But at the end of the day, if you want to pay attention to this Budweiser, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, screw them, all of a sudden they're anti-American Christian values, whatever, because they supported a trans person. First of all, my opinion on a trans person, if you think that you're a man or a woman, okay, and you want to be a man or a woman, that's up to you. But if you want me to think that you're a man or a woman, that's up to me as well. That's my personal choice. If you cannot freely think for yourself, you have become controlled. And then the only way we learn about what each other thinks is a television screen. And that television screen makes money on fear and hatred and drama. And that television screen is invoking all the negatives of both sides so that you continually pay attention to it, because negatives is what draws your attention, because you have an instinctual being to survive. You have a survival instinct within you. So anything that's a threat or a negative or against what you think or feel, you're going to pay attention to. They know this. These are scientists behind the programming of these networks. But something that they don't like is facts. We just gave you a bunch of damn facts, and if you want to support American businesses, and maybe Kid Rock was doing this because he's smart too, and he needs people to point this stuff out and read all this stuff, and without his instance, and without all these instances, we wouldn't be learning about all this stuff. I wouldn't have even dived in to look into all this. There's an article written over people diving in to look into this now. Now everybody can know that all of your big brands out there in the beer department are not American-owned anymore. Made in American, sold to Americans, profits to the world. And unfortunately, that has been a scenario for a decent amount of time, post-wars. Ever since those wars ended and everybody got scared of what we could do, we just started working on the economics, the money, taking the money, throwing the morals to the side, the values to the side. We'll take the money. Let's worry about the economies and all this. That's what the political class has become. There ain't no regular people in politics. There's families and monarchies and nepotism. The same issues we deal with in racing. That's why I've been calling it this entire time a microcosm, guys. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end the video right there. You don't have to be too slow to keep up with me. And if you're a little too fast, you might want to slow down and think twice. Back to that ability to think. Be a little free there. Sometimes your own perspective can be what catches you in the mirror. I'm good at one-liners.
This is how we ride. This is how we do. Ride mud slide.